My son told me something this morning that merits a recounting of yet another story. He told me that yesterday he was playing outside in the snow and he was throwing snow toward cars that were passing, trying to get it to land on their roof. Well, that's better than the things that I did as a kid where I was throwing it, trying to get it to hit their windshield. Because I can tell you there's nothing quite as satisfying as throwing a projectile this direction, and as a car is going this direction, having it intercept it and change the trajectory. I hated physics in high school, but even a little kid's brain can understand how beautiful that is to just change a projectile's trajectory by exerting a different force on it and sending it off that way. I'll tell you the first time I realized that that thing was possible. I was maybe 7 years old or something. We were visiting my cousins in Salt Lake. And they lived up in the avenues in an area up there with some old growth trees and things that have been around since this area was originally settled in the 1800s. And they had a small crabapple tree on their property and also some honeysuckle that we would eat. But we picked these crab apples and we were just throwing them out on the road. And as cars would drive by, they would smash these apples. And they're not big. We're not talking softball-sized apples. Talking little crab apples, about this size, maybe $50 or something size. And as we're throwing these apples out on the road, cars are running over them. Well, occasionally, the timing would work just right where we would kind of hit the car as it was going by. We'd either hit the door or it would hit the windshield and bounce off. And there were several cars that kind of slowed down and then just kept driving. They didn't maybe necessarily realize what was going on. And every time we did this, we would hide down kind of behind some bushes because we didn't want to get caught. So we're peeking up like this and watching the cars as they go by. And, okay, we're good. And we'd do it again. We'd throw these apples and then we'd duck down, kind of peek up, and watch these cars as they'd go by. Well, one time, a driver who was a little more observant, he totally noticed. And it could have had something to do with the fact that I thought it would be a great idea to get a handful of these crab apples and throw them all at once like I was lobbing a grenade. And right as his car was going by, several of these apples hit his windshield and they all flew off. They all just flew off into the distance. Well, he immediately slammed on his brakes and got out of his car. And we were all hiding at first, and then he saw us. He was looking around and he caught us. He saw us. And we didn't know what to do. He started yelling at us and we just ran into the house. And this far down the road now, close to 30 years later, 25 years later, I don't remember what happened. I just remember getting in trouble. So he must have come to the house, knocked on the door, talked to the adults, and gotten us in trouble. It was still really fun. If you have the opportunity to do something like that in a safe environment, I'm not advocating damaging someone's vehicle or something, but maybe experiment with this kind of thing on your own. Teach yourself some physics. I'll tell you one quick other story. I took tennis lessons in junior high, really kind of the end of elementary school, early junior high, and I was no good. I mean, I kill at Wii tennis and Wii ping pong and Wii bowling and just Wii sports in general. I'm pretty amazing. But tennis in real life, I had a hard time controlling my reflexes. So the ball would fly toward me and I would just hit it with the racket and send it flying out of the court. And sometimes that wasn't a good thing. The tennis courts I practiced on were right next to a little stream. And I can't tell you how many tennis balls I lost into that stream. They actually made me start playing from the other side of the court so I'd hit it into the parking lot and they could at least recover the tennis balls. My brother will vouch for me on this because he's way better than I am and we were in the same tennis lessons. Well, fast forward about a year after I had done these tennis lessons, I should be kind of good now. And I was a little bit better. But still, especially if a ball was flying toward my face, I'd just stick the tennis racket up in my face. And I'd hit it just kind of with this wrist flick, just hard enough to send it sailing out of the court. And one day, I mean, if I were to depict this in a movie, I would look like Babe Ruth. I'd call my shot where I'm going to hit this tennis ball, and I'd have the tennis racket over my shoulder. That's not exactly what happened. We were learning how to play tennis in my junior high gym class, and I hit a tennis ball so hard that it cleared the tennis courts, like far behind where my opponent was standing, and across the grass in front of my school and onto the main road through town. And lo and behold, it connected with the car that was passing and disappeared. I don't know if it was vaporized or if it was launched at the speed of light and just disappeared from our vision. We never found it, ever. That was one of the best days of gym in my entire experience.